I want to bring in a little bit about the politics of this health care law. Yesterday, Rick Santorum talked outside of the Supreme Court. He took direct aim at frontrunner Mitt Romney.
And there's one candidate who is uniquely disqualified to make the case. It's the reason I'm here and he's not.
Let's bring in Politico senior congressional reporter Jonathan Allen and Huffington Post senior political reporter Amanda Terkel. Good to see both of you. Jonathan, am I overstating it to say as political battles go, this one's pretty epic?
This is an epic battle. Most of the country was engaged in the original fight. The argument between Santorum and Romney over whether or not Romney's Massachusetts law disqualifies him is a pretty epic fight. And of course, if Romney's the nominee, and I think we all expect him to be at this point, then the fight over whether or not he can draw a distinction with President Obama on this very animating issue is also epic.
You could make the argument, Amanda, that this is maybe one of the stronger arguments that Rick Santorum has, well behind in delegates, but this is well timed for him to say, look, Mitt Romney started the Massachusetts health care law under which federal law was modeled, but will it make a difference after all, do you think, in terms of that political battle?
Well, it is the strongest arguments Rick Santorum has. It's one of the reservations that a lot of conservatives have about Mitt Romney. They still talk about Romney Cares. The Obama campaign certainly is playing it up, saying that Mitt Romney was in many ways the inspiration for this federal health care law. So if the Supreme Court strikes it down, in some ways Mitt Romney may have a stronger argument because he can say this is the difference between my plan and Obamacare is that my plan was upheld by courts. At the same time, conservatives may use it to say, look, both plans are unconstitutional. You're not the one who we want representing us as the nominee.
You know, one of the things that we've been hearing, Jonathan, from the Democrats is that the more people learn about this health care law, the more they experience it themselves, the more they'll like it. At this point, at least, poll after poll, two new ones coming out just in the last 24 hours or so. That's not the case. Look at the New York Times. 47% disapprove, 36% approve of this law. How big is the hurdle that the Democrats and the president have to go over in terms of the court of public opinion?
It's a big hurdle. You know, I would look back at Politico from the day after the House passed the health care law once and for all. And at the time, the administration was arguing, if you just let people feel these benefits, if people just get used to what's in this bill, then they will like it. And of course, those numbers haven't moved at all in the 2 years since then. So, you know, this remains a huge hurdle. And by the way, let me take issue with an idea that Amanda brought up, which is, you know, I think if the Supreme Court is to uphold this law, Mitt Romney actually has a better argument to make in November because he's going to be arguing that if he got in office, would repeal this standing law, and that's a distinction, that's a contrast with President Obama. If it gets struck down, it's more muddled.
Well, what do you think about that? Because that is basically, you know, been sort of one of the rallying cries. It's one of the huge talking points, Amanda, of Mitt Romney. I will repeal Obamacare. He has been very forceful about this, in particular because of the problems by association with the Massachusetts law.
I think he will try to repeal Obamacare. I think it will be very, very difficult, especially considering if he is elected president, what sort of Congress he will get, and what will he replace it with. If the Supreme Court, if he tries to repeal it, for example, there are very popular provisions in the plan, making sure insurance companies don't discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions, allowing young people to stay on their parents' health care plans. If that starts to disappear, I think you'll see a lot of people really upset and calling for more health care reform to replace some of these things that they got rid of.
Is it a problem, though, Jonathan, for Republicans to say the Supreme Court got the Constitution wrong?
It's not a problem. It is a problem for them to say that the Supreme Court got the Constitution wrong. However, it's not a problem for them if the court rules that this is within Congress's power to do, to make such a health care law, then trying to repeal it is not at odds with the idea that it's constitutional. It's just at odds with the idea that it's a good plan.
All right. Well, we're watching it, and obviously look at all the protesters that are outside, and who wouldn't want to be inside listening to those arguments right now? Jonathan, thank you.
Especially because it's 35 degrees outside.
Well, you know, you see him with the gloves on. The spring went away very quickly. Jonathan, thank you. Amanda, thank you as well.